Good day, podcast community. Yes, in the house is the community. We call him the commercial connector, but we are on the community builder. So not only is he a connector, he's a builder. And he brought in a gentleman that he thinks is worthy to be on his podcast. So, Chuck, man, you pat yourself on the back because Jim, he doesn't invite everybody. He just invites, he handpicks people. So, Jim, would you let me introduce Jim, and then Jim will do a brief introduction to Chuck, and Chuck will tell you a little bit more. So, my name's Podcast Pete, and Jim Raps is with Ridley Commercial Cleaning. So, if you need commercial cleaning in the city, you call him, because not only does he show up, he tells you he does what he says, which is kind of a lost art as we kind of kid around. Because anyway, so Jim, who do you have as our guest today?
Well, first of all, you said we clean in the city. I kind of like the way that sounds, but we clean anywhere there's a commercial space. Okay, so even if it's not, wherever it may be. So anyway, good friend Chuck Hill is our guest today. Chuck is a commercial realtor. He's an expert in his field. I've been out with him looking at properties and I've heard him speak many times, and he truly knows what he's doing. So without further ado, I'll just give you Chuck and let Chuck talk a little bit about himself and what he does.
Yeah, just who you are, what you do, and who you serve, Chuck. And then we'll get into getting to know you a little bit better.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Chuck Hill. I'm a senior brokerage partner at DT Spade. We're a commercial brokerage here in Atlanta. My specialty is working with tenants and owner users of office and industrial spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking to connect with really business owners that operate out of office space and industrial warehouse / distribution space.
That is awesome. I have to ask you the question. It comes to mind after COVID, with so many people going home to work. Now people are coming back. How's the commercial space environment in the footprint that you are working with, which is around here?
Right. Yeah. So, well, first of all, we're in one of the best markets to be in I think the world. So Atlanta is always growing. It's the first to be impacted by troubling times, and then the first to rebound from troubling times. So we're in a great place overall. The industrial market space has been red hot. I'm really having a challenge finding space for tenants when the need arises. Obviously, the office market was hammered during COVID, and I think what we're seeing now is really good Class A office space that's brand spanking new and has all the bells and whistles. They're doing well. Everybody else is suffering.
Yeah, and Pete, I could add that on that note, COVID hammered us pretty hard too at the very beginning, because people were sending home their employees to work from home. So they didn't really need a lot of cleaning in their office space. But what happened shortly after that is the disinfections in the office spaces that remained open, which there were a lot, really, really picked up. And like Chuck said, Atlanta's really rebounded quite well. And, we're back more than in full swing.
What would you, just for my own curiosity? No, I agree with you there. I remember that the specialty cleaning with the disinfectant and all the high tech part of how you were administering, everybody was wanting it because we didn't know if Chuck was exposed when we met him. And so it was kind of a crazy time. But my question, we hear a lot of technology in our city. Has technology, the growth of technology in our city, helped that Class A demand, or is it just the growth in general?
I think, those are, to your point, tech companies require office space. So that's been, and they're not just in kind of the top market, like Perimeter Market Center, here at Cumberland Galleria, which is where I am, up by the Battery. They're not just in those spaces. They transition out to some of these other hybrid office spaces where it's the converted industrial building that's now a cool office space and whatnot. So they're kind of taking, they're gobbling up kind of both areas. So yeah, that's definitely a help for us.
What would you say? I'm always curious about the Battery. You know, we're a few years in and everything's kind of like grows around sports because Jim does with Larry does the baseball guys. So he might be interested in this answer. What real estate wise, where are we with the Battery at this point?
Battery has been a huge success. And I'll tell you, you know, the Galleria office complex out here was struggling until the Battery came along, and it is now. People want to be there. I've had people move from the Perimeter Market Center, which is one of the top market centers, and a lot of services out there, a lot of stuff out at Central Perimeter, but they want to be over here so they can, you know, have a parking spot and then walk across the bridge to the Braves game and enjoy the Battery and stuff like that. So it's been a huge benefit to definitely Cobb County and Atlanta overall.
So Jim, what do you, I mean, we just all of a sudden stumbled on I call it a gold nugget. Jim was taking us around his office and showed me some beautiful spots. So we're now doing podcasting over there. Jim, when you moved next door, what was the thought? Was it just a growth, that kind of thing, that you needed more space and you had to be able to accommodate the growth of Ridley?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, I've done this before as far as building companies, and so I also knew that you don't want to rent office space too soon. It can be really difficult to be paying rent and extra utilities like another home, actually, you know, until you're really ready or you really need it. So we did rent that other suite next door at first, and as you know, that came through our relationship with a client that you know very well. All right, and when this space over here became available, we moved over for a little bit more, of course, but we have the downstairs suite and the upstairs suite. And recently, Chuck and I were looking around at other potential places, and then I decided to just stay where I am, and we're in the process of signing a new 2-year lease for this space. And Chuck, by the way, I can talk to you about this offline. I did get a better deal on the rent that I thought we were going to have to pay.
Great.
So Chuck took me around very patiently. We looked at what was available. And at the end of the day, nothing was better in the areas that I wanted to be in. Let's say that nothing was better than what we have right here. So yeah, Pete, it was we really needed the space. When you grow a cleaning company to a certain level, you can't have contractors and employees coming to your house. You can't be storing all the equipment and chemicals in your house. You have to have a proper office. So this one does fit the bill.
What is it like growing this company versus years past? When, I mean, you're in partnership with your daughter, so you have more of a family feel to it, where you had in the past just business associates. What's it like to work with a family member like your daughter?
Yeah, so in the past, there were times when all 3 of my other daughters were involved at one point or another, but it wasn't completely my company. It was control over things. But the biggest difference between what I'm doing now and what I did before, pretty much since I moved to Atlanta almost 30 years ago, I was living in the retail space, the big box retail. So I'm talking Walmarts and Targets and Kroger's and you know, IKEA and things like that, JCPenney, Sears, Kmart, you name it. We've done it at one point in time or in another in time. But that whole market has changed dramatically. It used to be that I could walk into a Walmart, a Target, a Kroger, and I could speak to the store manager and develop a relationship and get an opportunity to clean that store and build from there. And those were great days. We were able to do that, and we built a sizable company doing it. That all changed though. And now they don't have the power to make those decisions. It all goes through corporate. And what corporate does is they go to the big contractors, not even contractors, they're more management companies that are all over the country that don't own a mop bucket, don't own a vacuum cleaner. They just manage the process. They bid on the accounts in bulk, like hundreds and hundreds of locations. And then they look for smaller companies like mine around the country to actually do the work, to subcontract the work to. And I turn that work down all the time because I don't want to be a subcontractor. So that's the biggest difference. Is I went back to my roots, which started in the 70s in New Jersey, where we did the smaller office. We do some retail, but they're more like auto body shops and things like that. So we do some of that retail, but it's mostly in the smaller space. We're not going after the things that these national management companies go after and bid it right down into the ground where you can't make a profit.
Yeah, you shared on other podcasts the value of your network, and in your case here, it's BNI Smyrna.
Chuck as well.
Yeah. And so to you, Chuck, because we've had others, and I want to hear what your thoughts are, to be able to have 70 some people in a room that you're building a relationship with, how has it kind of helped you for our business owners that don't know anything about networking, don't know anything about organized networking? How has it helped your business?
Well, the first thing it's helped is clarifying your message, because that's a room full of a vast array of professions and personality types and people. And so I don't come in every week with the same exact message, because one week, and I don't come in every week with a different message every single week. I kind of craft my message for who's in the room. So thinking through that process that has been, and having to do it on a weekly basis, that's been helpful just in my overall business and how I talk to people when I meet them. But I guess, and then overall, it's a room of 70 people, and those 70 people, they may know 200 to 500 people, and so I feel like I'm not, obviously we're not selling to the room, we're selling through the room. I'm trying to get into their databases, who they know and who they meet on a daily basis. So that's kind of how I'm approach the BNI strategy, I guess.
Yeah, we've had on, it's been a few months or so, but Todd Lesson was on a while back. And so he moves to a new city and he doesn't know the people like Jim, but he knew he was, smart enough to know he had to build local relationships. So I don't know how he sought out BNI, if he met somebody, but he was completely corporate guy, Comcast. And corporate people have corporate contacts, and then you have your local contacts. And I always tell my viewers is the reason Jim has the commercial connector is because if you need anybody, you call Jim, because not only does he know everybody, his accountability by meeting these people every week, he's not going to give you like any Joe Blow. When he gives you a relationship, his relationship's on the line. So my question is, with all those different personalities and businesses, do you find, how do you, not only from your business, but from your personal, be able to kind of know that those relationships are in the room? Share with our viewers like what that has helped you do. I always remember early on people say, "Hey, what do you think?" I said, if I didn't make a dime, I'd be okay, because I have 50 people that on Friday night, if my air condition goes out, I ain't getting anybody out there. They're like, "Hey, good luck. I'll see you Monday." But if you have a relationship with like an Ernest and you've seen him for years, and Ernest, we're sweating out here. Is there anything you can do? He's going to be able to help you out because he has a relationship. How is that? What confidence can you share, or what can you share with our viewers, how that part of your business has benefited or that you might
Yeah, Ernest was actually out at my house on Wednesday. So yeah, to your point, Pete, that is the number one value I get out of BNI. I think there are certain seats in BNI that do very, very well, and there are certain seats that are probably more of a challenge. It's more of a long-term play. That's one of my seats for sure. And I understand that going in, but having a list of trusted advisors is what they are. I mean, it's people that I would trust to give to either a client or family. And then there's some people I do give to family, and I let them know that, hey, this person is a little crazy, so I just want you to know that where you're going, and they appreciate that. But yeah, being able to know so many different vendors, contractors, and it helps me in my prospecting. I was actually out at a part of my prospecting routine is literally door knocking. I mean, old school. I just show up at a place and try to find the decision maker and make a connection, etc. And I did that this week. And going in, I thought I'm going to kind of ask him who their ideal client, instead of me just trying to introduce myself. This is what I do, and start from building a relationship from there. I'm like, why don't I ask them who their ideal client is and who they're trying to connect to, which is typically I would do something down the road. But I was like, this is the first time we met. Let's just do it. And lo and behold, it was a company that 2 or 3 people in BNI are a good connection for them. So I'm in the process of, making those, and that's just someone I haven't done business with, but now I have this footprint of, oh my gosh, this guy, he's not here to do a transaction. He wants to help me grow my business before we've even done anything. So having that list available is really and that helps me grow my business.
Yeah, you were saying something about somebody crazy. Were you referring to Jim, or was that somebody else?
I'm talking about my family. When I refer
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
I'm like, I just want you to know who you're going to.
Okay.
Nice try.
I was just that was. I wanted my viewers to make sure that you weren't kind of throwing Jim under the bus.
No, I only do that behind his back.
So I love it. So what do you, how did you intentionally seek out commercial real estate as something that you wanted to get involved with? What was the path that got you into what you're doing now?
So I had inherited some family, or started managing some family commercial property right when I got out of college, in addition to working in the family business. And I just thought that was really interesting. And then my next career step was I became a commercial appraiser. I liked property so much, I decided to get into the valuation side. And so I was doing commercial appraisal work, writing 60-page reports. That got me the knowledge of property. And then eventually I decided to get my license and, go out and start being on the sales/transaction side. So that's kind of how I ended up here.
What in your work that you do, what brings the most joy? What is, gets you gets the juices flowing?
I think it's the initial meetings with clients before we go out and tour property, and it's learning about their business and then helping them understand that, they do a real estate transaction, whether it's leasing or purchasing, 2, maybe 3 times in their career at most. I do it every day. So I know the ins and outs, and it's kind of helping them, as we talk to them about what the process looks like, and after we talk about their business and property and all that, coaching them through the process and just seeing their anxiety go from, pent up to, oh, wow, and understand that they can trust me and I've got their back, and I'm going to help guide through the process, and just watching them relax and be able to, enjoy that piece of it is really kind of fun.
Jim, what kind of, I love that you could share with our viewers the relationship part of business, and you have a person that's obviously in your network of group, do you have anything you would like Chuck to kind of share with our viewers that how it relates to relationships?
Yeah, well, it's if you follow the program, the BNI program, which is a relatively simple program, you can't help but build those relationships. And some people build personal relationships, but mostly we're there to build professional relationships. So, along with like Chuck, that would complement him greatly is Tim Bailey, who is a commercial attorney and does commercial real estate closings, you name it. That's Tim, and he's an expert at that. And so you have all those complementary trades that go in there. And Chuck mentioned that his type of business in a networking chat, a group like BNI, is more of a long play. So is mine. I don't get a lot of referrals, but if I get a couple of good ones a year, that's all I'm really looking for. That's a great thing. So it's just if you're there every week, and again, BNI is not for everybody. And if there's anybody watching that doesn't really know what BNI is, please call me. And I'm happy to explain what it is and what it can do for your company or for your business. But there are certain things you need to do, and one of them is being there every week. And sometimes people go, well, every week, 7 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, well, I've never known a successful person that didn't have habits and didn't get up early in the morning. And there's other traits as well, like reads books and all those. But having habits, having good habits, and getting up early in the morning is a trait to be successful. So if being in the room in Smyrna with us at 7 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee, which, by the way, we have free coffee. So if you can't do that, then it's probably not for you anyway.
Well, I think it's lack of knowledge, because when my sunroof went out, I was scrambling around here to try to find a garage because I knew the rain was coming. So I called Jim, and he said, "Yeah, you can bring it over to my garage." So I park it over there. Then he calls Mike Appolito, and so the next day takes my car, which when it rains and your sunroof doesn't work, that's not a good combination, because I didn't want to be dishing water out of my car. But anyway, so we take it down to him. Mike's going out of town. He makes sure everything's set. The next morning, come on, pick it up. I mean, fixed. Where I called around here, because I don't know these people like I knew other people. And he was just, no, I can't help you. You can't do the paperwork. I don't have a space that I can, it was all obstacles. When I called Jim, bingo, we solved the rain problem that night. Next day, with the sunroof. And Mike's advice was, don't open that sucker again. I said, no way am I opening it up. It's about 20 years old. So I know when things go bad, electrical is usually one of the key things. But my point is to the viewers is, when you need somebody, you better have a relationship, because nobody else was bailing me out until I called Jim, and bingo, all of a sudden it was taken care of.
Well, it's also helpful that I live down the street from you, and I let you park in the garage next to my wife's Jeep, and I stayed in the driveway that night. And then Chuck, as Pete is backing his car out of my garage the next morning, he rips off the sensor on the right side that Helix garage door was just recently put in. Right.
Yeah.
So it was.
I heard a big scrape. I thought, oh shit! I scraped my car. Little did I know I tore the sensors, because Jim's trying to put the garage door down. It's not working.
Who needs enemies when you have friends like Pete? Is that?
Oh yeah. Especially ones that know how to back out straight. So next time he'll go, hey, look, I don't have a garage.
No, next time I'll say, get out of the car. I'll drive it in and out myself.
Yeah, it is. It is good. Like, so Jim is a handyman. He fixed it. So I was like, he didn't need to bill me for it, which was good. I appreciated that. It was you'll I'll be calling you someday, so just be ready. So anyway, but I want to be respectful for your time because I know Jim's got an appointment. Chuck, I'm looking at the TV in the background there. It looks like some good things going on, so that's good. Tell our viewers, how can they get a hold of you?
That's my cell phone there at the bottom of the screen,
Okay.
404-695-0207. I actually answer it. And then my email address, and those are, you can text me. I'm a texter. So those two ways right there are how you can reach out to me. And I love having conversations with people. And sometimes I realize I'm not the right guy for your situation, but I know enough people that I can find the right guy in commercial real estate. If it's a retail situation or something else that I'm not an expert in, I've got connections to people I can help anybody get to where they need to be.
And before you take that down, Pete, I got to add that email address, Chill, that's Chuck's rap handle as well.
Ooh, dang, inside information.
That's Chill, for the next episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, we got to bring Chill back. Yes. So Jim, would you tell our viewers how can they get a hold of you?
Of course I can. Okay, so there's my cell phone as well, 404-309-6093. There's our ops manager's name up there that Pete still has up there, but you can call either one of us, doesn't matter. And that's it. You see my email address is jim@Ridley, RIDDLEYLLC.com.
Awesome. So we always leave our podcast. Jim knows, he's heard it before. Chuck. Or Chill. Chuck, what would be the one thing you would want our viewers to take home from your time on the podcast? What could you share with us?
If you need help with commercial real estate, please work with a professional. Don't do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. In the area of YouTube, everything, get a professional. Jim, what would you want our viewers to
well
more time?
Chuck gave me a great layup there. This is perfect. So I compete with DIYers often, mostly in the smaller office space. If it gets larger, they know they can't clean it. But so yeah, if it's a commercial space, and I say this too, look, even if you're not sure you want to make a change right now, go ahead and call me anyway. I'll come out there. It doesn't cost you anything, just about a few minutes of your time. I'll put together a comprehensive proposal for you. You'll have it. You can save it. And if you need me one day, I'm there. I will not hound you. I will not pester you. Just let me come in and give you a quote, a free quote. But I'd also like to say that if you or anybody you know is even thinking about office space, commercial space, Chuck Hill is the guy to call. You want to call Chuck, and he's very gracious with his time. He comes very prepared with a printout, with printouts in book folder forms, whatever. And he does a really good job with that.
And I'll say this too, just so before our viewers, Jim has a co-host, Larry Hauser, on the Baseball Guys, and Larry does also stand-up comedy for seniors. And he was doing the church up the street, Grace Church by Town Center, and we wanted to free his time up because he's getting really busy out there making seniors laugh. So who do you think backfilled Larry? It was the guy right here, Jim Raps. So Larry is very appreciative of you taking him out of that situation and allow him to go out there and do what he does best.
So what he's saying here, so what Pete's saying with his backfilled thing there is Larry was cleaning the church. So now Ridley's going to be cleaning the church. So Larry's grateful. There you go.
Yes. And he's forever grateful that he now can get people to laugh and he doesn't have to get the church to be critical of his cleaning habits.
I thought you meant that Jim had backfilled and got on stage and did a little comedy bit.
Well, I tell you what,
it's not going to happen.
I want to see that.
No,
You know
I'm way too serious for that, and I like listening to jokes. I'm not. It's all in the delivery, and Larry's really good at that. His timing is excellent.
He is.
No, that's not me, Chuck. Not me at all.
Yes, I know.
But he is a baseball expert. So the baseball guys is going to be on Tuesday.
Well, he's the expert. He's the expert. I'm the fan. He's the expert.
Well, when it comes to the Mets, nobody knows the Mets more than Bobby Valentine.
That's also a curse. So we can go into that further some other day.
That's right. Well, thank you. Share this with people you know, especially people that need to connect. You need relationships. You need people, professionals that do it for a living. Don't get your part-time cousins, sisters, brother to do things just because you want a family member to do it. Call a professional. Thank you guys for taking the time to be on Community Builders Podcast with.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Chuck.
And Chuck, thanks you for being a guest.
Absolutely.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you.